Hunting pressured gobblers. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video, so you stay tuned. Let's talk about hunting pressured gobblers. When we're hunting a place where there's just a lot of hunting pressure around. You know, I think in the age that we're living in right now in turkey hunting, just about everybody deals with that. I mean, whether you're hunting public land or maybe it's a piece of private that just has a lot of pressure around it. You know, your neighbors. There's always that certain part of counties that seem to hold more turkeys than others, so everybody and their neighbor is on maybe the property beside of you, and so it's not just you hunting that turkey or that flock of turkeys, it's your neighbors on either side or, you know, behind you or wherever the case. So them turkeys travel from property to property, so they're getting pressured. Now you're hunting a whole different animal when you're dealing, say, with hunting pressure, but like I said, a lot of private land that's being pressured or public. Then say you are a place where you go to some outfitter and, you know, they got a limited number of hunters in there. That's not putting a lot of pressure on the turkeys. They're all turkeys. I'm not saying that, you know, that the guys that's hunting the outfitters is not real turkey hunters. It's just that it is a little bit easier, and I think they even have to agree with that, and that's why they go to these places to shoot their TV shows and stuff, is because, you know, it's just an easier hunt as far as not having to deal with people. But they're still turkeys, you know, they still get whooped on outfitter hunts too. It's because a turkey is a turkey, but when you're dealing with hunting pressure, you're dealing with a whole different type of gobbler. So you kind of have to adjust some things and adjust some of your tactics a little bit in order to be successful. Now, a good example of what I'm talking about is a hunt that I had in West Virginia last year. It was the second hunt I had. I actually shot this turkey on public land. It's the only public land turkey I killed last year because I don't hunt a lot of public. I just don't. But this gobbler was just, you know, he just did not want to come up that hill. I had to get pretty close to him, and I had to move quite a bit on him. But once I got in the right situation, I just pretty much toned it down, you know, like you should anyway, but especially on public land or higher pressure turkeys. You know, you really want to tone it down, and you just want to talk to that turkey and pretty much take your strategies and just kind of tweak them a little bit. And instead of getting real loud to this turkey and real aggressive, you kind of back off, because he's been hunted. Now, I'm going to destroy a myth. Now, if you follow me on the videos over the years, you know that this is something that is controversial with a lot of old-time turkey hunters, and some of you are probably going to watch this and disagree with me, and that's fine. Everybody just got their own opinion. But when you're hunting pressured gobblers, the first thing you got to get out of your mind is call shy. Listen, there ain't no call shy turkeys. It's not real. It's not true. Call shy is just a myth that some old-time turkey hunters made up. And what call shy is they're saying that, well, they're used to that call. In fact, there are some states, you know, that it's illegal to call to turkeys before the season, because a bunch of old-time, you know, hunters got together and said, well, if we call to them for the season, then when season opens, they won't come in because they'll be used to it. Now, that's just nonsense. Listen, turkeys hear turkeys every single day of the year. You know, 365 days a year, they hear other turkeys out there calling to them. And so I don't think that they set up on a hill and go, oh, well, that's a box call, or that's fake, or that's a slate call, and I've heard that before, that's a hunter. That's just nonsense. What happens is, the old term of call shy is not really the call that messes them up. It's human shy. They see people walking, they hear four-wheelers, they see trucks driving up county roads, they see people walking across an open field. You know, it's people shy, so it shuts them up. Well, but the more pressure you have on a place and the more human activity, the more they're going to be shy from people. And they're not going to respond as much to calls. And so people are automatically going to take the blame off of them and put it on calling. But it's just not the case. So the one thing you got to get out of your mind is, I can't call to this turkey because they're call shy. You got to call the turkeys to kill them. You got to call the turkeys to get them in. That's the whole purpose of turkey hunting. And so you got to get that out of your mind, because that will mess you up if you go onto a pressured piece of property and think, oh, I can't call this turkey because it's call shy. You got to go in there and hunt smarter. You're going to have to watch your access in to places. You're going to have to walk more careful when you're walking across to an open place. Maybe it's an open power line, or maybe it's an open food plot on a WMA or something. You're going to have to go and make a smarter choice about going the long way around, even if you have to, and stay hidden and walk around instead of cutting the shortcut across and go across the field. You know, a lot of this stuff just plays in variables of how you can hunt turkeys on very pressured pieces of property. All right, something else you got to do, and I think this is really important, is you can't be defeated when you get out of the vehicle. And I think that happens a lot on pressured pieces, is people are already defeated when they get out of the vehicle before they ever walk on public land or a highly pressured piece of private, because, you know, they've been used to hunting a good piece of private where it's just been them and maybe one other person. And so their confidence is way up. Well, when that changes for whatever reason, maybe, you know, the place that you hunted for years that is loaded with turkeys, maybe, you know, the person dies or their kids take over and they kick you off the property, or they lease it out to some city hunter because, you know, they're trying to pay property tax, and it's just a way that they can make a little income and keep the property up. But, you know, it happens all the time. It happens every single year all across the country. It's just getting harder and harder and harder to try to find a good place to hunt because of that. So what happens is, a lot of guys that are used to hunting that real good piece of private have now been pushed off on public, and now they have to share the woods with all these other guys, and they got just as much right to hunt there as you do. But so now you're already defeated when you get out of the vehicle. You're already messed up. Or maybe it's a small piece of private, you know, and it's pressured all around you. You're already messed up. I ain't gonna kill no turkeys. I ain't gonna kill nothing. Well, I might as well, yeah, I'll just go out here and walk around with a gun. Maybe, you know, but you're already defeated. Let me tell you something. If you're defeated here, you might as well just give it up, because turkey hunting is a mental thing. It's mentally more than it is physically. And so if you're messed up here, they're going to wreck you. I'm telling you the truth. They're going to wreck you. So you've got to have the confidence, because here's what you got to think. Them turkeys are the same turkeys they are on that piece of private that you hunted. They're the same turkeys, because in the springtime, you know, it's not some super turkeys out there on pressured land that's just so unkillable. No, it's a sex drive thing. It's gobbler to hen, hen to gobbler. That's what it is. And them turkeys on public land, on national forest, you know, they're doing the deed too, because the desire to breed is there. And so they're going to be out there, and they're going to breed, and they're going to gobble. Now, they may not gobble as much as they are, you know, do on a big piece of unpressured private. That's true, but they're still going to gobble, and they're still going to do the same thing that turkeys on that, you know, beautiful piece of private you had does, because they're turkeys. You're going to have to get out of this thing of, well, private land and public land. Public land turkeys are, you know, like super turkeys. And I think that's kind of what's happened in today's turkey hunting age of social media. We start thinking that these public land turkeys are super turkeys that's just so unkillable, and when somebody finally does, it makes them a 10 times better turkey hunter. And the fact of it is, did you ever stop to think that most of them turkeys on national forest and public land are spending most of their time on Farmer Jones that butts up against the private or the public land? And so they're private land and public land turkeys. They go back and forth all the time. So, you know, you just got to get into that mind frame of, I'm going to kill these turkeys. I'm going to figure it out. And it's not call shy, it's human shy. And the more you cut down on human presence, and the more you cut down on your access in and the way you normally do things when they're not pressured, the better off you're going to be. So remember that. Don't be defeated when you get out of the vehicle. Go in there knowing that these are just turkeys, and I'm going to figure them out one way or the other. All right, let's get to the calling part of calling to pressured turkeys. You know, like I said, they're just turkeys, and that's kind of what you got to think in your mind. But calling to them, here's the one thing that I try to do when I'm dealing with pressured gobblers. I try to call softer, and I try not to blow the woods out with my calls, unless the turkey is answering to that. Because you're going to find some turkey, like that West Virginia turkey I killed last year on public land. Oh my Lord, man, I mean, he was like a private land, you know, ranch turkey somewhere. He just gobbled his head off on it. Was public land, and I mean, but that's what he wanted. He wanted aggressive calling. Now that doesn't happen a lot of the times on public land, but in that case, that's what he wanted. Even though he did hang up quite a few times, and he didn't want to come up that hill. He wanted me to come to him. But you know, I've had that happen on untouched private land too. So but the one thing I did to that turkey is I aggressive called to him. So you know, even on public land, that can work. Now, most of the time, I'm going to say 80% of the time, that would be a good kind of guess, you're going to want to call softer. You're going to want to call more low and not as aggressive, because that's what turkeys are used to hearing. Have you ever thought about it? Turkey, how many times have you been out there and a hen just blasts the woods, we call it? Doesn't happen very much on private or public. But on pressured pieces, I do a lot of clucks and purrs and soft 2 or 3 note yelps. That's what I'm doing just about all day long, and that's what helps me on pressured turkeys. So what I'm doing, let's try this slate call here. This is my new slate call from Spring Fever Custom Calls. Listen to this. This is kind of what I'm doing on on pressured turkeys, public land, private land, pressured turkeys. So I'm just doing little clucks like that, maybe some purrs. Little yell. You just want to be that turkey out there that's just moved in the area. You want to be that turkey that's just moving out there, feeding around, do a lot of purrs and clucks and things like that, because that's what they're used to hearing all day long. And turkeys will hear that out there. So that's kind of the only thing that I do, you know. Say if I'm on a 700-acre piece of private land that's not touched very much, I'll take the woods apart with calling a lot of times. But when I'm forced to get on some really pressured, you know, gobblers that's seen everybody and had all kinds of, you know, they've been spooked all season, then I'll try to back off and I'll try to tone it down. These little things will help you on pressured turkeys. Now I could go in, you know, to a lot more, and I might in another video, we might do a part 2 to this, but there were some basic things that'll get you started and that will help you when it comes time for you to be hunting a place where the gobblers have just seen a lot of people and had a lot of pressure. But you can kill these turkeys, I promise. They're just turkeys. Think of that in your head. They're turkeys, I'll figure them out and I'll kill them. And make sure to subscribe to this video. Just hit that subscribe button down in the corner. I'd really appreciate it. Also, check out my website, DaleOutdoors.com. Check me out on Patreon. Also, if you're on Patreon, just come over there, and we'd appreciate if you give like a $2, $3, $4, $5 tip just to help Dale Outdoors out. You know, in the age that we're kind of living in this liberal world, a lot of times YouTube demonetizes a lot of our hunting content because they deem it inappropriate because we're actually carrying a gun and shooting stuff. So when they demonetize it, we don't get paid, and that's what keeps us going year after year. So when we do get paid. So if you would like to help us kind of just make up for that little bit of loss that YouTube is trying to do to us, just come over to Patreon and give us a tip, $3, $4, $5, whatever, you know, whatever you feel like giving. It would really be appreciated and help a lot. So we're starting to get some followers over there, so come over and join us there. Also, check out SpringFeverCustomCalls.com, where you can pick up all my signature line of calls. This is the brand new Matt Dale Old Sly Slate Call. It's a beautiful call, and it sounds great. Man, they're selling like crazy, and we can't keep them in stock, but we're trying to get some more on the website. So go over to SpringFeverCustomCalls.com and check them out, and you will love the sound of this thing. It's really high pitched, got a high frequency. It'll really cut through the wind, and I just think a slate call is one of the best pot calls as far as surfaces that you can get. It's old-fashioned, but it still works great. So check them out at SpringFeverCustomCalls.com. Check out SOSO Outdoors also. Really appreciate that. And all the links down below. Check me out on my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Come follow me over there as well. The links will be in the description. So Hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned, because we got a lot more turkey hunting content in the weeks to come. I appreciate all of you viewing. Share this on your Facebook page, your social media page, and tell others about Dell Outdoors. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.